So, Pedro, I think it'd be good to share about perspective, like keeping the right perspective on things.
Right perspective.
As a church planter.
Let's go.
I think, ego and ambition are two things you want to suppress.
Ego and ambition.
Yeah. I don't think ambition's a great thing. I think it's detrimental to leadership. You know, you've got to have the posture of servant. So your perspective is important, and I think your perspective always has to be downward.
Okay.
Like going downward. So it's the.
I was going to say perspective. The way you're describing sounds to me, the angle from which you look at things. Yeah. Is that where you're going?
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, most leaders want to be prominent, influential, out there, recognized. You know, the platform's important, elevated, lofty, all these things. Doing great things. There's this affirmation and validation that leaders sort of hunger for. The applause of people.
Why do you think they hunger for that?
Oh, it's a natural human condition. You know, am I doing okay? Is this, good pastor? Yeah, you're awesome. We honor you, respect you. I mean, that's fuel for the soul.
But wouldn't it be obvious if they read the life of Jesus?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be obvious? Like, there was no accolades for Jesus.
No.
Why do we go so opposite, so distant from the original idea?
And that's why there is this need for your perspective to be correct. It's, the kingdom of God is down a hole, not on a platform or a stool or a pedestal. So, I think the perspective you have to see is, how can I stay low? How can I dig down, right? It's not up, it's down. If you go up, where's the only way you can go?
Down. That's it.
After that way?
It's the law of gravity.
After that way? Is that way?
Yeah.
How many times have we seen that?
Over and over.
So I think there needs to be the perspective of, I've always got to go low. I'm always pushing for under. Lower, less.
Yeah.
Oh, less of me, more of you, God. But just make sure I'm famous or get recognized, or I can see, people can see my prosperity as a blessing of God.
Which is a very Jewish thinking. Jewish people think that way, If I'm prospering, God is blessing me, which is very materialistic, very...
It is.
It diminishes the point. Like, it brings God to a lottery prize, maybe.
Yeah. Now, and that's, I think, why Paul mentions numerous times, as long as you've got clothing, food and shelter, be content with that. But we, in this human nature, in our consumer mindset, we always want more, and it's hard for us not to feed into that.
Yeah.
So the long-term perspective of leadership, or church leadership, the kingdom of God is down lower. So I'm always trying to push myself low. What's the, I should be the lowest, the deepest. And because the only way going this way, the only way
is up.
Is that way.
Yeah.
But then if you're constantly going that way, then God will elevate you that way, but you're going that way.
Yeah.
So, the proud he resists, but the humble he exalts.
Yes.
So I'm like, how can I stay low? How can I go under? How can I be hidden? How can I serve more?
We can talk about practical ways that you have found in your journey to do that. Just a side note. A while ago, we had Nathan Bridgewater coming here, and friend of yours, and then I got the privilege of meeting him. And he started his conversation with exactly that, humility.
Yeah.
Humility is easier to come from than humiliation. Yeah. So the whole time he was talking about, I remember the text, I think it's in Peter, humble yourself before the mighty hand of God and he will exalt you. Yeah.
Humble yourself.
Yeah. So if you humble yourself, you'll be exalted. Yeah. But if he humiliates you, it's a different conversation.
Yeah.
And he was saying sometimes God might use, I'm not sure.
Either way, you'll be humbled.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah.
Either by your own push for humility or humiliation. Either way, you'll be brought low. So stay low. That's why I think your perspective is important.
So how have you found ways to do that? Because for people who don't know your history, the background for the first 20 years of your ministry experience was an exposition to the big thing.
Yeah.
I don't know the ins and outs of that. I didn't know enough, but it was a big church. Like you mentioned, you used the words lofty, nice cars, comfort and all that. It wasn't always that way. It never starts that way. But that's where you came from, and then you started a different expression. So what were the things that you've seen that you didn't want to repeat?
Yeah, I've always liked the grassroots. And I think, I say this in the heart of a shepherd, the smell of sheep is important. You've got to stay grounded. And so green rooms and lounges, guest lounges, I think, are justifiable, but as a pastor, as a leader, you want to be with the people. So I would lend myself to that, and still do. I tend myself to being available, being with the people, doing a Bible study, sort of ground level, simple Bible study for all people. That's the perspective, because I'm not any more special than anyone else. I'm not higher than anyone else. So I'm not necessarily closer to God than anyone else.
Amen.
Yeah, because of my position.
Without trying to be condescending, I'm just actually trying to distill that so that whoever hears it might have more information than what they see immediately. But when you say, the green rooms are justifiable, but you yourself, you try to stay close to the people. What do you mean by justifiable? What's a reasonable explanation
the minister of the word needs that time to pray and think and meditate and
what time to pray?
Be refreshed and because they're expending so much.
But isn't that a problem? They're spending so much. They're too tired. They've been in too many rooms, too many conferences.
Yeah, I don't know. That's sort of the justification. They've travelled and, they're not staying in their normal bed. So they're unsettled and they need to be refreshed and,
I have a hard time putting that into my mind. And I know you would agree with that, but it's just like, I never seen Jesus in the green room.
Look, I think space is important. Like time, quiet time is important. But being away from the people is not. You're there to minister. I'm just very, very much like mixing with the people. And I think that's a good perspective because it keeps you low. The more you stay away from sheep, the more you realise you don't like them.
Yeah.
Because you like your own company and others more.
Yeah.
But the more you stay connected with the sheep, the more you love them.
You're like a man looking in the mirror and soon enough, face disappears.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. You've got to stay low. You're there to serve the sheep. So how can I prioritize my time so that I'm not away from people? I'm available.
Okay.
You got to have, which means you have to have margin.
How do you make sure you don't burn out spending that much energy and time with people?
It's just availability. So sometimes believe it or not, there's a lot of stuff as a pastor you have to do. Paperwork and emails and references and affidavits and
affidavits. You're still on the affidavit thing. It's been a week in your desk, bro.
You'd be amazed at what correspondence people need. Rental references, work references, character references, applying for school references, immigration visa references.
By the way, that list, I've ticked all those boxes.
Yeah, I know.
You using them all there for me.
So there's always emails to do and complaints to reply to, and people wanting thoughts on stuff. So there's actually a lot of communicating, organizing, blah 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 blah, study, reading. Yeah. So there's all that. But when someone has the courage to email you to connect or text you for a coffee or catch up, like, you've got to be available for them. So I don't necessarily fill my calendar from my initiation, because I could ring anyone and say, let's have a coffee, and they'd say yes, just because of their respect or it's the pastor. Yeah. Rightly or wrongly, you could fill up your calendar just by saying, let's catch up for coffee. So there are occasions you do that. But the other half is you actually just provide yourself as available, and people can approach me to have a coffee, which is great. Yeah. So that's how you don't burn out, is you wait for invitation. You don't fill your calendar up.
You don't run at capacity.
Nah. You have to be slow. So every appointment I have, I allow 2 hours.
Which is very countercultural. For this, I've noticed people sit down in coffee shops for half an hour, 45 minutes. They're looking at the watch. Okay, gotta go.
Yeah. So I just block out 2 hours, half an hour to get there. If I'm there early, I can pray. Yeah. Give them a decent hour and a bit. There's margin if there's really, after 55 minutes, they're like, okay, this is really why I'm here. Then you've got margin.
Yes. An extra half an hour.
Then you've got time, because the next one's not for another half an hour anyway.
It's funny how we emulate things. I've been around you for quite a while, so I think I've mentioned it here, like the color codes and all of that I've copied from your things. Yeah. And the calendar, like this morning I had a breakfast. So I scheduled for 8. I was there 7:40. Why? Yeah. I could read, I could pray.
Yeah, absolutely.
More read than pray, I gotta be honest. And then the guy turned up a bit late, 10 minutes, great. We talked for 40 something, just short conversation, going nowhere until we hit the point. Yeah. When we hit the point, it was 9:10. I was like, if it was a normal thing that people do, I would have been gone by then. Yeah. I had my alarm on my clock silently to go off at 9:20. So the alarm went off and I knew I got 40 minutes margin. So we actually finished with an hour and 15 minutes of conversation. And then I had 10 minutes to get here. I was a bit late. But because I knew, you said, I'll be there by 10. You'll be doing some stuff. I'll rock up. What are you doing? Your calendar thing, doing your stuff. So it's again, countercultural movements. Yeah. You have to, no one says anything significant in half an hour. It's not enough time, especially.
But when the pressure's on, when people are really wanting to talk urgently or just need input, I'm like, let's talk on the phone. And I'll just block off half an hour for a phone conversation, which is fine as well. But it's just that margin to, I have big spaces in my calendar where I have nothing. I just say it's pink, nothing. That just means there's margin to be filled up with urgent or admin or follow-up. I follow up new Christians. I've been going 11 years. I've got 4 new believers to follow up. That's just my own desire to stay low, stay connected. What's their language like? What's their context? What's their experience? What's their story? Yeah. I just think it's so grounding. I want to prioritize that. That's the perspective, because I want to stay low. I don't want to always deal with pastors and leaders and and politicians and business owners.
You said a while ago when we were talking about planning, you hire for your weakness kind of thing as the church is growing. And we see in big churches where the pastor might be doing a lot of processes, less people. Very rare to find on a regular basis. Every now and again they'll do it just to make sure they don't forget the craft, But on a constant basis, every month, every week, just catching up with new people, it's rare to see. It's not normal. How would you explain that? Because that's not a weakness of yours. You're always willing to catch up with people, new people.
Well, that's the strength.
As basic as that sounds.
That's my strength, is people.
So what are the areas of weaknesses that you're raising up to go, okay, this is going to be different. Someone else is going to do this.
I think probably efficiency and producing things is my weakness. So process, procedure, I'm not great at that. Yeah. I like some detail, like everyone's OCD on something. Mine's my calendar. I've only got 168 hours in the week. That's actually all our capacity.
Yeah.
Is 168 hours in a week. So I want to prioritize people because that's my passion and my love and what I'm called to do. So, event organizing. I've done a lot of that, but that's not a priority for me. Organizing like our family gathering on a Sunday. I don't need to do that. I could be distracted with setup and music and kids ministry, and some pastors probably love the ins and outs of the kids curriculum because they're a teacher and kids ministry curriculum is really important to them, and I think that, but that's the thing, that's the perspective they need to have, is how can I be lower? Some pastors might love writing their kids ministry curriculum, which is fantastic, and that's what you've got to stay low in, and not seeing yourself as high above. I think the hierarchy is always the challenge. That's probably why I'm saying you've got to, how can I stay low?
Servant of them all.
How can I stay low?
In the natural sense, when you say things like this, it sounds like, for lack of a better word, I'll use this. And I know it's not, but I'll use this for lack of a better word. It sounds like a false proposition. I'll make myself low because this works. It's pragmatic.
True.
It's pragmatic.
No, it does. It does work.
Yeah, but
because God exalts, right?
Yeah, but on the other end, the normal way of doing things that we've seen is, no, I gotta climb the ladder. I gotta, like you said, I gotta be in the spotlight. They have to see me. The pastor needs to be on the platform 80% of the time, and all of that. So you see big churches where the pastor's gonna, be preaching on the stage maybe 48 Sundays out of 52. And there's only room for people when he's... it's not developing anyone. It grows. So that's what I would love for you to talk about. Because this is where people learn from.
That's not building community. That's not raising up leaders. That's just a personality-focused ministry. But they're the appointed leader. Yeah, you are, but you don't need to be on the platform for people to know you're the leader. I think for the next 5 weeks I'm not on the platform, and people say, well, that's silly. But our history has proven that it's acceptable to people.
So where do you build if you're not on the platform? I think that's
in the lounge rooms, in the grassroots, in the coffee shops, in the coffee tables, on the phone, in the banquets, in the pastoral crisis, in the pastoral matters. You build the church. People, that's not my gifting. Well, then you'll have to rely on... No, in the wrong business, because this is not a speaking gig business. You'll have to rely more on the platform.
Yeah.
And if you rely on the platform, you have to be more...
performatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to look good and all that, and you have to craft your art, hone your art better. And I'm like, it becomes fragile then.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if people know how much I love them and how much I care, and I just spend time with people, I can get up and say anything.
And you've always said this, it's not fragile.
It's fragile.
Precious.
Yeah, it's precious.
But not fragile.
It's not fragile. We don't want to
give
create.
people a go. And,
And that's how you create a family and community, because I don't want my kids to come home and perform.
Yeah.
I want my kids to come home and be and just talk and share. Okay, Georgia, you're on devotions tonight. Oh, I don't want to. Okay. Taylor, no, I don't want to. Okay, I'll read a scripture to
Yeah.
They're still my kids. They're still in our family. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not fragile.
We live in a performance-driven world.
We do.
Long enough.
We don't want
at work.
We don't want that. We don't want church to be a performance, and so the perspective of the ladder you should be climbing goes down to your grave, because every time you serve, you're dying. A little bit of you is dying.
Yeah.
I'm laying down my life to serve God. That looks like me laying down my time, my gifts, my ability for others.
Yeah.
But that's the perspective you need to have, because as soon as you start getting entertained by big people, it's attractive.
And we said it in the beginning, as you mentioned, laying down your life. We have gone so far away from the original idea. And Jesus said, the good shepherd, that's John 10:10, lays down his life for the sheep. We're not the good shepherd, obviously. We're not going to die on the cross for anyone. No. But if we're going to copy anyone, we might as well copy Jesus. I think it's...
Yeah.
Wow.
So the perspective of low, stay low.
Yeah. I want to say a big amen to that, but I know that with our little expression of the universe, as we always say, when people watch this, there's a difference between what they hear and what we say and what's actually put into practice. There's a big gap there, and people will watch this and they go, oh, amen, that's good. Next Sunday, they are preaching.
Yeah, it is. You've got to prioritize your calendar to stay low. So, how much time you're spending with people, that's important. So, not just the ones you like or who do good for you, but people. So it's really difficult. So I'm not saying I've mastered it, but all I know is I've got 168 hours a week.
Yeah, and it's funny how people focus on 1 or 2 hours. And if you want to be effective, let's use that language, effective in ministry, there's an obvious thing. There's 168 hours. You can use 100% of your energy in 2 hours, or you can disperse 100% of your energy in 166 hours. And for some reason, they insist on doing this. Yeah. Sunday is a big thing.
It's not. People don't remember messages. They don't. They remember conversation.
Yeah.
So that's why the significance, sometimes it's more rewarding to sit with someone one-on-one or two-on-one or whatever in a smaller setting and see that as a window of opportunity. And they will always remember that 2-hour conversation.
It's the feeling
with you, but they will not remember the 52 hours of teaching you've given them on a Sunday.
This is dangerous. I haven't thought that through, so I'll just throw it out there. But by what you're saying, and by and large, just anecdotally, what I've lived, it seems like people are anchored by feelings and not convictions. So, example, they might be very convicted of this theological approach, but if they are loved enough and they are connected enough, they actually come to a point where they can suppress that. Like, that's my theological conviction. As long as it's not a heresy, obviously. It's my theological conviction. But you know what? I'm happy to be here. I feel part of something. So they're anchored by their feeling, not their conviction. Conviction doesn't really anchor many people. Lonely people maybe, but...
No. people are have less convictions, I think, this day and age. So, yeah, I mean, conviction can be associated with a feeling as well. You know, if you have a conviction not to do something, you know, when you're approaching it, there can be a feeling, a physical manifestation of a feeling of, oh, this is going against my core belief. So this, you know, but yeah, people are very feeling oriented.
Which is tricky. We had recently a conversation about someone exploring the ability to speak and unlock feelings. So we go from a point of
emotional
conviction to emotional reactions.
Yeah.
It's a very fine line.
Yeah.
And you make people react to emotional feelings at the moment. It could be regretful.
Yeah, but that can also cement conviction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moments can cement conviction.
Yeah.
So, but often it's time and environment and input that will do that. But as long as I'm in relationship with someone, the more chance of conviction can happen.
Yeah.
You know, if I hurt their feelings, they don't want to be a part of my life anymore. So therefore the relationship is severed. So there's no chance of instilling truth and conviction. Not that I'm the founder of all truth, but relationship changes us.
I remember a long time ago you said you can only influence people at arm's length.
Yeah.
So you keep hugging them, bringing them close, and then that's how you're gonna.
Yeah, that's how you're gonna impact someone.
Yeah.
You can, otherwise it's just you have to impress them, and I don't want to impress people.
Yes, you impressed by this. That's what you say. You impressed by a distance. Yeah, platforms, all of that. People are impressed, but you don't want.
That teaching. Wow, look at him. He captivated me for so long.
Bro, are we gonna get raw here?
He captivated me. He captured my attention. I was eating out of his hand.
In the 90s, there was a whole movement of churches based on the wow factor.
Yeah.
You know, you build it in a way to wow people.
They come in and go, wow.
Great facilities. The light's great.
Wow, look at that screen. Wow.
Look at that speaker.
Wow.
He's speaking with the other great speaker in that worldly conference and all of that. And I remember I watched a lot of those guys, and I was thinking, if we backtrack like 100 years, I don't think the great revivalists that we so admire would be happy to be sharing the stage and the platform with that category. You know, like, look at how well he speaks. You know, most of the great revivalists couldn't even speak well.
Yeah.
But they were men of prayer. They were men of the people.
Yeah.
It will be with this weird.
Yeah.
I can't really put my finger on why we go so far from the original idea. I wish I could.
So that's the low thing. You've got to keep going low. Like, keep thinking when you've just got time of meditation and prayer, how can I stay low? Rather than the drive of, oh, this could happen and this could make us bigger and this could make us more influential and, oh, this would look good on social media, or, oh, this would be good to show on Instagram or a reel or something. I'm like, yeah, I'd rather stay low. Who's Marshall Gray? Who cares? No one cares. Doesn't matter. You know, just here to serve whoever's in front of me, whoever God brings across our path, and if they're still there in 11 years' time, well, praise the Lord. What a great honor I have of getting to know them.
Yeah.
You know, don't see yourself as more highly than you ought to. Don't see yourself as lofty and high above others that you know more about God than them. I think we just stay low, keep low. How can I stay low? How can I take another step into my grave? You know, lay down my life a little bit more. So, yeah, that's what I think about.
Yeah. It's interesting when you say that, and we've spoken enough about this. So, it is a great idea. It's a great motivation you have. Stay low, serve the people in front of you. No marketing, no nothing. But then I'm thinking, man, you drive 100 meters from here around the corner. There's a group of people that need this expression. So how do we get that going over there and over there? So I'm trying to multiply a model that's supposed to be subtracted. It doesn't work.
No, you're trying to release people into the trueness of what it is to be a servant of God.
Yeah, but it's a conflict in my mind. Like I'm trying to get this model and they say, look, this is not supposed to be big, grow, multiply. But we need this. It's just weird.
Counterintuitive.
Yes.
But I think if more pastors just close their eyes and not worry about what people thought or how many people saw and just focused on loving people, caring for them, because people want a shepherd, people want a pastor. Yeah.
I know you've mentioned this before, but in your, like you said, prioritize people. You want to stay low. The ladder's going down. If you want to be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven, you want to be the servant of them all. Great. I think that a big part of how you do it is how you constantly look back at your calendar, like you mentioned today already. Look back at your calendar. How am I making time? So do you want to, I know it's not a template and it doesn't work if people want to copy, letter by letter, but do you want to explore a little bit of how you plan? Like what is it that you do that is core to keeping you low?
Yeah.
And what are the distractions that show up every now and again and you go like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've done this for the last month. Scrape that.
Well, so I have certain days of the week that are sort of big picture set. So Sunday is family day for our church family. So I usually get up between 4:30 and 5 as prayer, preparation, whatever. Get to our gathering place and I'm there till 1:30 and we have lunch of some sort with someone, some people, a group. We had breaking bread on Sunday lunch. So there's that. And then I just stayed at the facility until our prayer night. So
it's a big day.
And then I caught up with someone after prayer. I got home probably 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Yeah. 14-hour days.
Yeah. I'd say Sundays for a long time have been 14 hours, 15-hour days. So I sort of paced myself for that.
Yeah. Because it's a big, although it's not the main focus, because you just mentioned lunch outside, other people. Yeah. It's not just a preaching thing, because you might not even be preaching.
Nah, but I'm connecting. I'm there, shaking hands, praying for people, listening to people talk, sharing some thoughts.
Would you say you're kneading the nets?
Yeah.
Could you use that?
Yeah. Just getting a feel for situations. People I know who have been with us, I capture the vibe of, discernment, everything all right. Pray for a word of knowledge, pray for a word of wisdom, because it's short, a lot of contact. Some Sundays you would have lunch, and then this Sunday, for example, we have baptisms. So that's at night. So we'll have baptisms and prayer. And prayer is great, even though I don't necessarily run them all. It's great to lay on of hands and impart faith and pray and believe for healing and miracles and, encourage people in the gifts of the Spirit. And,
Would you say that prayer is, because I know how you are very intentional on being there, even though you're not running, you're intentional on being there. And I don't think it is because, if you're not there, people are not there. I don't think that's why you turn up.
I want to be there.
Yeah. So I've seen you on your knees enough times to see, okay, this is his stopping point. Like he's just breaking.
Yeah.
And say, okay, we're starting this thing afresh.
I'm not.
Another week.
I believe in, what does Paul say? Peter say, be an example to the flock. So at prayer, I'm actually praying.
You're there to pray, not to organize the prayer.
Yeah, and I don't care what people think of me. If I have to lie down on the floor, I will kneel, jump up and down, whatever. If I sense the Lord telling me to do that, I'll do it. If I sense the Lord just sit down and wait on me, I'll do that. follow the leader. If they say, Marshall, come up and pray, I'll come up and pray. If they say, can you support and catch someone if they're going to follow you, I'll support. You know what I mean? So I'm there to serve. So this Sunday we have baptism, so I'll be there early, setting up the pool, following up a few people who want to get water baptized, sending them a little study. And then afterwards we've got a dinner with some people after banquet, after prayer, baptism. So, 14 hours for Sunday. Yeah. I just block it out. It's always been like that. It's our main working day of the week. So, and then Monday.
And then, as every pastor, you rest on Monday.
No, because Monday, for years and years and years and years, I've always had Monday because I'm always thinking about follow-up from Sunday. Yeah. So Monday, I always have prayer with a few men. So we get together at 6 till 7, prayer. Just people in our neighbourhood, praying for our neighbourhood, our neighbours, our friends, our family. It's for 1 hour. And then it's down here for internship. So we run our internship on Mondays.
Not the big day. Not necessarily the biggest day for you because there's other people.
No, so that's, 9 to 5. And then I have a banquet on Monday night, which is 7 till 9. Mm. So that's a big day on Monday. Yeah. Tuesday, I have a oversight meeting every Tuesday from 6 till 7:30 every Tuesday morning. So that's a priority for me. And Tuesday is my people day. Mm. So Monday is about internship, about input, about follow-up, phone calls, meetings, catch-ups. Tuesday is people. So I just schedule people. 5 or 6 meetings on a Tuesday, all day. Wednesday is prayer and prep, or podcast, whatever. So
you're supposed to be praying now.
Yeah. So, and a bit of an overflow from Tuesday. So I had a meeting with someone this morning. Yeah. Wednesday morning, my son and I get up at just after 5. We go to the gym, have a sauna, swim, breakfast together, prayer, devotion. So that's pretty cool. Couple of hours. 2.5 hours together. Then I had a meeting, and then it's prayer and preparation, thought, contemplation. A bit slower on Wednesday, but available. Phone calls. I already know when I'm preaching next, so even though I'm not preaching this Sunday, I'm thinking about when I'm sharing next. So just writing thoughts.
Which is, it might not be so hard for you. Like for myself, for example, when I knew 2 weeks ago that I was preaching 6 weeks ahead, my message was ready. I was like, I can't wait, man.
Yeah, but I'm less precious about what I say because I know the people know how much I love them. Yeah, because I'll spend time with them and I'll talk to them where they're at.
Well, I haven't had that chance yet, and again, it's not my role.
No, I agree.
But I do different from you, and you know that, so that's not a secret. But I actually enjoy that process, like catering and crafting the right words, which is
beautiful, which is really good. I just
love it. So for me, I'm like, while you are not precious, I am on the other extreme. Like I'm precious of what I'm gonna say. Yeah, because that's for me. Actually,
and I can appreciate that because that's your. I can appreciate that. Yeah, you value, preaching, communicating more than I do. Yeah. So I honour the platform, I honour preaching, but I also prefer the people. Yeah. By being with the people. Like personal prayer and ministry for me is powerful. A banquet, a group of 12 people. I'm like, wow, this is rich. We can really go places. Sundays are different. It's the proclamation, the declaration, the anointing, the singing,
It's amazing how like you're up to Wednesday on your calendar, and I just want to make a stop to draw attention to something that is consistent in your life, and I've seen it. Something that I haven't managed to copy because we have different personalities, but your 5 P's: you pray, you plan, you prophesy, you preaching people.
Yeah.
But in practical terms, in terms of weights, you pray, you plan, and you people.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of people in your calendar.
Yeah.
And if I was doing the same thing, which I do, I gotta be honest, prayer doesn't even come first. There's a lot of planning. There's a lot of prophesying and preaching, and then prayer. That's probably why I gotta fix it. Gotta put prayer first, because it's enviable in a good sense. Like Sunday, you up praying. Monday, first thing, prayer. Tuesday, oversight. I'm sure there's prayer in that meeting. You know, and you with your son in the gym, prayer.
Yeah.
So I gotta learn that. Not learn. I gotta correct it.
So Wednesdays, a bit of people, but prayer and prep. Wednesday night was basketball, but whatever, some family time.
Yeah.
Thursday is more prayer and prep, planning. So a little bit of room for people, phone calls, that sort of thing. But that's a personal day for me too. You know, I've got like physio appointments and all that sort of stuff on a Thursday. Usually try and have family stuff on Thursday night. We've got basketball.
Yeah.
Urgent meetings, you know, tweaking my messages if I'm preaching, catching up with pastors if they want to catch up. But a lot of time, just reflection, prayer. I like to have a good couple of hours on a Thursday, just sitting and praying and meditating. Sometimes I just sit in my office, eyes closed, just praying for anything, everything. Got a little prayer journal. Friday, I try and have the day off, unless there's urgent oversight meetings, needs or pastoral needs. But Friday I chill. My son and I get up again. What do I have Thursday mornings? Really? I've got a meeting with if pastors want to meet for breakfast or whatever. I do that on Thursday mornings. Friday mornings I get up with my son again at 5:30. Do the same thing: gym, ice bath, prayer, devotion, breakfast, and then he comes to a school thing, so I spend time with family and chill. Rest.
Yeah.
Friday. Yep. Family night normally. A couple of maybe a meeting here at the wedding sometimes, and then Saturday home day. You know, gardens, lawns, tidy, vacuum. Tidy our room. Usually try and watch a footy game or something on Friday.
Yeah.
And NFL started, so American football, so I like that. So that's a good excuse to have a few hours out. Snooze on the couch if I can. Reading.
It's a good thing that the games here during the day.
Yeah.
I was in Brazil. The games were late at night.
I like reading. I read a lot. Yeah. And then we're back into it.
Yeah. It's a good summary.
So that's my week, and you need to constantly look at it. So I have different color codes for different things, and I do block out big chunks for meditation and prayer. And I want to be a man of the Spirit. I want to be a man of prayer. Yeah, not programs.
Yeah.
So that's the perspective. And I think that keeps you low.
That keeps you low. I was going to say that.
And when you pray, you're coming under God's will.
Yeah.
You're positioning yourself under the will of God. Just like when you read the Bible, you're positioning yourself under the Word. So I like that helps keep me grassroots, man. I'm not above anyone else.
Yeah.
So that's.
I think I know the answer for this next question. Might be the last one for this conversation, at least. But I'll ask anyway and let you articulate.
And I'm not. It's almost like I'm not saying I'm anything great. This is just the rhythm I have.
Do it. Yeah.
You know, and it's. You know, it seems to work because people are wanting authenticity, genuinity.
I think more than the growth, because I have come to the conclusion that growth is not really a measure of success these days. You can grow anything. And you can make all the analogies. You can use artificial stuff to grow, whatever. So it's a good measure, but not the metric. It doesn't measure our health.
No.
It doesn't measure the fruit of the Spirit. And I think this is what we should start measuring in the churches. You know, what's the social transformation around your church? What's the fruit of the Spirit in your people? Are the marriages reconciled?
Yeah.
Are the broken people made whole?
Yeah.
Are there being salvations? And not numerically just speaking, but are people actually becoming more Christ-like? Those kind of things are hard to measure. But what I was going to ask, and it seems to be working, not because of the numbers, because we do have a few factors that played into the growth of our church over the last couple of years. But the question is, how do you replicate or reproduce that idea? Because although we don't necessarily look for growth and all of that, we do believe that this expression is a good one. It's not the model, but it is a good model. A good way of doing things. So when it comes to the other people on our team, for example, how do you reproduce that? How do you show them, look, this is important, that's important? So I think
you just exemplify it, and over time, if you put a checklist in place for people, they'll follow it. If you say, do this, they'll do it. They'll tick a box. But if you can be close to people and proximity, and they can see you in your basic humanity, then they, over time, it creates a perspective of clarity, what this looks like.
For some longer than others. And this is where consistency is important. I have moments of weakness where I'm maybe a bit snappy or short or wrong answer or impatient or bad attitude or grumpy or whatever. Would you say that's because in that window of time you've been distracted with other things, and
probably
prayer hasn't been the main thing?
Yeah, of course. I mean, if I was closer to the Lord, I'd be more Christ-like.
Yeah.
But there are times I'm not Christ-like. So, Paul says, imitate me as I imitate Christ. So there are some aspects of my life that I don't imitate Christ. I don't imitate those parts.
Yes.
But we all realize we have moments of weakness. So, but I'm happy for people to see that.
Yeah.
And just, sometimes on a Monday I come in and I'm tired after 14, 15 hours, and then what happened on Saturday with a wedding and Friday, whatever. You're just tired, and so you're not listening properly.
We just happen to hear more of the on Monday.
The beer's in the house. So but like, that's life. Yeah. I don't want the team to walk on eggshells that they can't be normal. You guys are going to have a bad day. Yeah. You're going to turn up grumpy and short, and you spoke to Bianca the wrong way, and you're like, oh man, I'm stressed about that. I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Bro, it's okay. So otherwise you're forever putting on a mask, and so I don't want, there are clarity as to what people are doing on the team. That's clear as. But let's be real together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't care if they experience me when I'm having a bad day. I'm the first to say I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just so you know, guys, I'm pretty distracted today. I've got something quite stressful I'm dealing with. Like even in our meeting yesterday, right? Yeah. I shared some pretty heavy stuff that we're carrying at the moment. But that's just saying, guys, this is probably why I'm
snappy.
I'm not from fun country today. And that's okay. And I think that gives an example of what it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So awesome. I'm open to that. I'm happy to be a low-level person that's real. Yeah. And if people can see the consistency, then I think that presents a good thing.
In a church environment, do you think that, the mindset that we have these days, the systems that we create and that kind of stuff, do you think is it possible, in your perspective, we started talking about perspective, is it possible in your perspective to build systems that push every leader towards people time and this expression of love to one another, or this is just organic and you just have to?
I think you've got to push the other way to keep it organic, because there are always people that will say, "Oh, you should do this to make it more efficient," and in some instances, yes, but organic is messy. Organic is not the same.
But you have a system for the organic, what we call the matrix here, for example, the tension between the apartments and that kind of stuff. That's a system created, learned.
Well, it's
absorbed.
actually an excuse to not have structure.
Okay.
As formalized as it should be in tradition. So a matrix creates this tension. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So there are some things you do systemize. So like kids registration, instead of writing their kid's name down every week, that's a simple little system. But do we have a church database? No. Oh, well then who are you going to follow up? Well, I have a phone. Well, how do you get their number? I ask them for their number. Or what if you don't have their number? I find someone who knows them who does have their number.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'll make an intentional effort to meet someone on a Sunday and say, hey, put your number in here and I'll...
Yeah.
Do we have a church? Well, then what if someone else wants that number? Well, we don't have...
They'll find people who have that number.
So you keep that organic. Yeah. That's part of...
But that's a system.
Yeah, it's a non-system.
It's an intentional system that you create. It's like the chaos theory. Now we got
chaos theory.
We're getting deep there.
Yeah. So we just allow the organic nature of community to be community without formalizing a pathway.
Yeah. When do you interfere?
When it's affecting others.
Okay.
In a detrimental way.
Okay. So your job as the shepherd is, it's chaotic in a good sense. Obviously, I'm not criticizing it. It's chaotic and there's tension and it's always on them. That's something that we do here. The ball's on their court. So if they want contact, they have to come. We don't intentionally create a system to facilitate their integration, but we are open and individually we're seeking. But once something happens that affects others negatively, then you interfere and then you come with the structure and
just direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So someone said to me, it'd be good to have names and photos of all the elders in the church.
Oh, yoo-hoo! Little board at the back.
I'm like, no, we're not going to do that.
These are the people that you are putting on them to do your job.
So then how are you going to get to know them? Over time, you'll get to know them.
You get to know everyone.
But I don't know them. Well, let me introduce you to one of them. Mm-hmm. There's one of the elders. Talk to them. What do you want?
Yeah.
So we're not going to have a board with photos or a booklet with photos of leadership team.
Man, I thought my photo was...
I don't even think we have a website right now. I'm like, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You only need to look at it once, and that's to find out where it is. When you turn up, you don't need to look at it anymore.
It's the same principle for the 168 hours in the week. We make a website for the one person visiting over the weekend, but there's 800 people who've seen it already. So
they don't look at it again.
Yeah.
And even if you did show everyone, they'd still say, oh, so where do I go? What do I do? So that's where relationship should be organic. And we put that connection squarely on the people. And that keeps us low because that keeps me saying, oh, there's someone sitting by themselves.
I think a second layer of that matrix, and one day we can talk about the matrix, will come when we have gone so far and a lot of our people involved in that have actually understood the principle of the matrix, that chaos theory and all of that. And then they are the ones interfering when something goes wrong or affects negatively without you being aware. That'll be a second level.
So much, but that's the point of a matrix.
Layer,
A matrix is low, is flat. A matrix structure is a flat structure. It's an empowering structure. It's heavily reliant on trust and relational equity. And people are empowered to make a decision knowing that the consequence of their decision is going to affect everyone else.
Yeah.
And that it's like the net. It's like a net.
Yes, yeah.
So, and I think it's the greatest thing ever.
I think the challenge is changing your teaching style. So if we're all little cross references in the matrix and you are trying to teach us, we are learning this first level.
Yeah.
Then a second layer, it's added up, and now we are making those decisions. You're stepping over, and then it's so
complex. Yeah. But you've got to see it as the matrix is holding people up. It's not over people. So we're all supporting underneath.
That's another counterintuitive thing.
Yeah. So because I don't like the idea of, if it's like this and I'm at the top, people are dropping off.
Yeah.
But if we're like that, and people are our priority, if they fall,
people are flourishing.
If they fall into.
Yeah. That's why you always say it's a safe place to fall.
Yeah, because, well, God's there.
Yeah.
But there's also shepherds that are there.
Yeah.
So there's this net, like a trapeze. That's the matrix. It's a net. It's tension.
In a sense, Paul has done some sort of matrix 2,000 years ago. I've made myself everything to everyone so I could save a few.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that's really important to me, and that helps me push low. That helps me push myself low. Because I'm like, actually, you guys make that decision. Because as soon as the decision comes to me all the time, that's pushing me up.
That's a hierarchy.
We've got to check with Marshall. Yeah. We've got to check with Marshall. We've got to check with Marshall. Whereas if I go low, it's like, what do you say? I'll
help you.
I'll submit to that. So Sasha and Huff, they run family time. They run our Sundays. They'll make a call. I'll yield to that. Like the other Sunday.
Yeah.
It was a mistake. But that's on me because I didn't communicate clear enough. Someone decided that because it's Father's Day, we're not going to have prayer time at night. No prayer night. The first time I saw that was when I was announcing it, saying, tonight, next week we've got Father's
because
Day.
Because you're literally not involved in the preparation of the Sunday. People don't get that.
It's not my call. So there was
a surprise. You're like, what?
And we've got no prayer meeting next Sunday. And I'm looking at the screen going, no prayer next Sunday. In my head, I'm like, who said that?
Yeah.
Why did they say that? Okay. So I said, guess what, family? We've got no church next Sunday.
And why is very important? Because prayer is a big thing for you.
It's massive. Father's Day is not a great day for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So actually...
staying home is actually worse.
Yeah. So a place for prayer. We could have offered prayer for those who have issues.
You would have understood if it was maybe Easter, there's different events.
Sure.
Christmas, Mother's Day.
Mother's Day. So, no, I'm not going to dishonor anyone in that setting and bring shame. And who said that? No, we've definitely got prayer on. That's wrong. I'm like, no, I'll roll with it. I'll honor this.
And we've seen that happening.
Yeah.
Something comes up. No, change it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, we've got no prayer on Sunday night, guys. So enjoy. And then afterwards, I'm like, okay, who said that? Because I need to bring clarity. Yeah. We always have prayer. Yeah. Prayer's more important than Father's Day.
and it's interesting because not only you yielding to the authority that you have set up first, because you came up with this crazy idea of the matrix.
I didn't.
You didn't come up with the matrix, but implementing that in the church. Yeah. God, that's crazy. But there you go. So you started it, and then. But you also want to teach them the core values. So prayer is important. So on the outskirts of it, you come back to whoever made the decision and say, hey, next time, maybe this is something for you to consider.
Yeah.
The ideas behind why we have prayer. And that kind of stuff.
Someone said when it came to our birthday, which is the second Sunday in September, we always have a shared lunch for the second Sunday. And so someone thought, since it's our birthday, there's no breaking bread. So I just made sure we communicated that, we actually have breaking bread because it's a great connection point. Yeah. And we celebrate communion and we have to make that available for people.
And if people are smart enough, being around you when you communicate these things, you use the word, I take it as it was on me. I didn't communicate well.
I didn't.
But when we listen to that and we're involved and we see the tension that is happening, we go, maybe next time I need to communicate well because I'm organizing that. So, okay, next time, hey, everyone, I'm canceling prayer. Okay, is that okay? And then, oh no, not okay. Let's discuss before. So if you're smart enough, you'll catch that part too. That it's not always your mistake.
No,
you do it because you say, okay, everything comes down to leaders.
Because leadership's about serving, communication, and problem solving. So I'm serving people, and prayer is a great service for people.
Yeah.
Teaching them how to pray, praying for them, with them, believing. So we always have prayer. That's how we serve. Communicating. Obviously, I didn't communicate because prayer got cancelled.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. So we'll just resolve that.
Yeah.
So it's actually a really practical example of empowerment and communication, and coming under the very thing you've set up. So banquets, I run a banquet. I have to yield to the process that Sam puts in place for banquet 5.
Yeah.
So I have to load my own banquet up and get the resource to do all that he wants me to do because he's the boss.
Yeah.
And I'll serve banquet 5 because I believe in it, etc.
Amen.
Shepherding, Marshall, can you follow up this person?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, Anita.
Yeah.
Yes, mum, I'll do that. So, but that's empowerment, right? And that's giving people a greater opportunity to go low because they're coming under our community.
They'll get it.
Of course. It's only been 8 months, 9 months, not even. So it's pretty awesome. Yeah, I feel like so much freer. Yeah, I hate this.
Yeah.
And Sasha said it the other day, eh? She's like, I think I should run it past Marshall. I'm just getting used to making decisions myself.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing to see, man, I'm getting old. The young cats growing up. Because I remember being they're not stupid, and they definitely don't make as many mistakes as I made. But, like the dumb things that I've done, and looking back, it's 10 years at least that we've been in this back and forth, and you're going, no, do this, do that, do that. And you just take your hands off. It's like, okay, fall flat. That's fine.
So it starts by giving people responsibility and a budget. So, this is how you train people to be great leaders, is you've got to empower them with something. Yeah. You've got to give them some authority. So kids ministry,
accountability, and authority.
So that's why we give them a budget. We don't expect people to pay for it themselves. That's not fair. There's enough in the storehouse to minister to those and provide the food, the nourishment that they need for their spiritual life and their practical life in the house as people give. So,
and if it's a ministry that God has appointed, there will be enough resources to outwork their ministry. So if there is not enough, it's probably a sign it's not a ministry.
So children is vital.
Yeah.
So we have to invest into our children. So you do a little plan. How many kids have we got? What are they going to do on a Sunday? Well, they're going to have a craft. They need some sustenance, some water and some biscuits and some fruit. Okay, so that's expensive. How much for the craft? How much are we going to give to this? And so you give them a little preloaded card, your kid's leader, and you say, every month I'm going to put this much on that card. Go for it. What if we don't spend it all? Well, you can save up and do a great Sunday and have a bouncy castle. We're not going to take it away from you because you didn't spend it. Wow, that's awesome. So you actually, now that you think, that's, why do we have to do that? If you honor the little, if you do that with the 10 kids you've got in your kids' church, when you've got 100 kids, you'll still do the same principle. Same. You just add an extra zero.
Extra zero.
So I'm sort of like, that's how it starts. And that keeps you low. It's empowering. You're trusting. You're building confidence.
Yeah. And 10 years later, 11 years later, we have in our focus leads, budgets there are with a few zeros, and budget that has 1 0, because this is just starting.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see. Most of them are doing it for the first time, but it's amazing to see how some people go like, mine was just small. When we look at the budget, it's like, bro, just do
give
this.
Give it 5 years, give it 10 years.
Exactly.
And that's the beauty of diligence and consistency.
Yeah.
Over time, people love predictability. They don't like the swings. Just stay your lane. Stay true to what God's called you to do. Trust the process.
Yeah.
Do it for a long period of time, and you'll achieve more than you ever thought you could do.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're just constantly pushing lower. How can I keep serving?
Yeah.
How can I keep grounded? But I'm having way higher conversations with people. Yeah, but how do I see myself? I'm just a low servant. I'm not in this for personal gain. I'm in this to sow my life into the soil.
It's a constant pull.
It's a constant.
Yeah. It feels like there's a magnet. You know, when you get close enough, that a constant pull, if you're not careful, it will glue you there.
It will.
And you have I heard this guy talking about how the scriptures were written back in the days, and it's like God designed man to be out west, and in every single story in Genesis from 1 to 11, mankind keeps walking towards east. And in their context, if it was linear, we know it's not, but man is just constantly looking out east and walking towards east, and God is pulling them back west, or the center of God's will, we would say, in the Western world. And it's the same for everything, we incline to do.
We are. Because we can easily be corrupted, and it'd be wrong for me to think that I can elevate myself above.
And the world is
anything.
fascinating, man. The world is fascinating. The big platforms, the big lights, the smoke machines, the money, the cars.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. And if you're not careful, you are lured. Yeah.
After that way, Pedro.
Boom.
That's the only way. So if you're constantly pushing down, sowing, giving yourself to this, God will elevate you.
Yeah.
But you're not worried about his elevation.
Yeah.
Everything he elevates, you're going down.
Yeah.
So if I'm meeting high, lofty people, politicians, whatever, I'm meeting more new baby Christians than ever.
Yeah.
Because I need to stay low. I need to stay low.
Stay low.
Yeah.
We should make a little soundtrack for Stay Low. Start our podcast. Sort of hip hop thing.
Not J-Lo.
Not J-Lo. Stay low.
Stay low.
Awesome, bro. Thanks for that.
No, I think that's important.
I'm starting to think
because we aim for high, we aim for more, we aim for increase, we aim for influence, we aim for sphere. Yeah, we aim for progress, we aim for goals, we aim for outcomes. We want this outcome, this outcome, this outcome.
We want more because we're empty.
Yeah. But if you're low, if you're in the ground, if you're dead,
you come to the end of yourself.
It doesn't matter.
I love that the Michael Jackson song, Man in the Mirror. I'm starting with the Man in the Mirror. When you look, like if you actually do that experience and stop in front of a mirror and look inside your eyes, they call it the man in the shade, or the shadow of a man effect. If you look inside your eyes, you see a little shadow of a man, and philosophers will say that's a reflection of yourself. That's scary when you come to the end of yourself and you see the real you, and that only God can fill that gap, that insecurity, that thing. And
who am I that I would ever think I'm above someone else? Who am I? That's what I've got to constantly have in my head. Who am I? I'm a servant of all, because I want to be great. Yeah. I want to be the greatest Pedro.
What does David say? Who is man? That God. You see, it's the same question, but comes from a different perspective. That was the first word you used. Yeah.
So the perspective is low. I've got to stay low. I've got to push low. I drive an old car.
Yeah.
Could I justify a nicer car?
Mind you, I don't want to copy that part.
I didn't care. But it's just for me. It's good for me. Yeah. It's good for me.
I don't want to copy that part, but it's natural. Look at the old car that I'm driving today.
What happened to your car?
We call it Trapmobile, that one.
What happened to yours?
Nalini's got it.
Oh, yeah. But is there anything wrong with a nice car? No, there's not. No. Nothing wrong with... I've got a beautiful house. I've got a beautiful house. Is there anything wrong with that? No, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm constantly, how am I serving? How am I sowing my life into the ground? Because I am nothing without the Lord. So I may as well be low. Because if I was to ever think myself as something, then that is the only way to go anyway.
Amen.
I know I'm repeating myself, but it's so important.
I think this is crucial.
It is important. Who am I? Man, God's hand is on my life. Yep, agree. If I'm choosing to stay there and I'm yielded, but God forbid that I think I'm anything special.
Yeah. It's comforting.
People keep saying, wow, you're a great man of God. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you. But I still have a heart that can be corrupted.
Mm-hmm.
I still have a mind that can be in the gutter.
Yeah.
I still have a mouth that can be potty.
Yeah.
You know?
And mine, it's only been 11 years on this part of your journey. And in the beginning of the conversation, we talked about, those leaders who
don't aim that way.
Yeah.
Don't aim that way. I just want more people. Yeah. I want more people to be saved. What? So they're sitting under your ministry. I don't want people to be under my ministry. I want people to be under God. And then I can be under them, girding them and strengthening them. Yeah. Don't aim to be lofty. Aim to be lowly.
Amen. I was a preacher in you. You're getting there, bro. They all start with L, lofty and lowly. There you go. Getting there. Yeah. Getting there. My man. Proud of you. Proud of you.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
You needed that.
Praise the Lord.
You needed my approval.
Wow, I feel so validated now. I feel like, wow, my confidence is through the roof.
Wow. We just wasted an episode just with that. Gotta cut that off.
Nothing wrong with confidence. I think confidence is so important. It grounds you, So.
Yeah, man. Good. Awesome. Thanks for that. That was good.